Some stars are remembered for their acting, singing, or dancing. But every once in a while, a photo comes along that shocks people, even decades later. And we are talking about one of those moments. Ann-Margret, a star of the 1960s and 70s, was not just famous for her movies or songs. She made headlines for something unexpected, her topless photos. Before anyone gets the wrong idea, these pictures caused a lot of talk back then. People were curious, surprised, and even shocked. But Ann-Margret's story behind these photos is far more interesting than just the pictures themselves. Ann-Margret was born in Sweden in 1941. She moved to America when she was a teenager, hoping to follow her dream of becoming a performer. And she did not wait long. By the early 1960s, she was acting in movies, singing on television, and performing in shows. Her energy, her smile, and her bold personality made her stand out. People loved her in films, but Hollywood was a place where looks mattered almost as much as talent. And that is where these controversial photos come into the story. Ann-Margret posed for them in the 1960s. At the time, such pictures were risky. They could make or break a career. Some people admired her confidence. Others criticized her. But the truth is, these photos became part of her legend. Some might find these images shocking today, but back then this was pushing the limits. It was rare for actresses to show this side of themselves, and it sparked tons of discussion in magazines and newspapers. The public's reaction was mixed. Fans were curious. Some were impressed by her bravery. Others were scandalized. Hollywood insiders had opinions too. Some thought it would hurt her career, but surprisingly it did not. Ann-Margret kept acting in big movies, singing in popular shows, and performing in live events. The photos were talked about, but her talent kept her in the spotlight. People might wonder why a successful actress would take such photos. Some people assume it was for attention, but it was more than that. Ann-Margret has said in interviews that she wanted to express herself, to feel confident, and to explore her creativity. She was not trying to be famous for scandal. She was making a bold choice, one that few would dare to make at the time. This shows a side of her that most people did not see. She was not just a pretty face on the screen. She was a woman making choices for herself, even when society had strict rules about what women should do. Looking back, these photos had an impact. They remind us how times have changed in Hollywood. Today, stars can share almost anything online. Back then, every image was a risk. Ann-Margret took a risk and stayed true to herself. She continued acting, singing, and dancing for decades after that. Even though these photos were controversial, Ann-Margret remained one of the most popular stars of her generation. She worked with Elvis Presley, sang hit songs, and even got nominated for awards. Many people today remember her for her work, not just the scandalous photos. So, it is like the photos were just one small part of an incredible career. The next time anyone hears about Ann-Margret's topless photos, it is important to remember this. They might be surprising, even shocking to some, but they were just a small part of who she was. What really made her famous was her talent, her charm, and her courage to take risks in life and in art. Perhaps that is more inspiring than any photo ever could be.